Dr. Joy, I am so excited to have you here. I've been a fan for a long time. I love the way that you talk about hormones and stress and daily habits, and you combine it all into one practice. That's really beneficial. I grew up in Alaska, and my dad was a naturopath. And so I think there, and it may be the same in Hawaii, like your naturopath could be your primary care doctor. So I have grown up with this my whole life. And so I'm so thrilled to just get to pick your brain about it, especially in relation to perimenopause and women's health. So thanks for being here.
My pleasure, Chelsea. Thank you for inviting me.
So, how did you get started on this journey?
Well, I grew up without a mother, and I grew up with a lot of health concerns. So,
Okay.
with having lost my mother at my birth, I was fed by my grandfather, who, came over on a ship in the early 1900s. He knew nothing of nutrition other than if you have food, eat it. And of
Yeah.
course, I'm this little newborn baby, and we moved to my grandfather's chicken farm when my mother died, and he would feed me ice cream, just wanting me to be happy. And I ended up in a hospital for an exploratory surgery at age 2. And they didn't find anything. They took out my appendix and called it a day. And I proceeded to have stomach aches. And that when because of the gut brain connection, which I knew nothing about back then, I had depression. So
Mm.
when you have chronic stomach aches every day, it led to fatigue. It led to feeling depressed. And I thought, it's okay. So there's something wrong with me. And I started studying psychology and got more depressed. And then I discovered naturopathic medicine. My sister actually introduced me to it right around the same time that my academic advisor introduced me to it. And as soon as I saw the curriculum, I am like, this is so exactly what I want to study. It's all about the mind and the body and the soul and the movement and energy and exercise and food and meditation, everything that I was already setting myself up to. I was studying all those things on my own while I was in college. And I just was so excited to see that curriculum, and I applied right away and was fortunate to get in. It's not an easy road. It's really difficult. The
Okay.
naturopathic medicine curriculum is a 4-year accredited medical school, and people think it's, naturopath. It's not naturopath. It's a naturopathic physician. So we learn similar things as a medical doctor in the first 2 years. But how we veer off in the third and fourth year is by learning and understanding how we can use nature to heal the body rather than modern medicine, which is a
Mm.
big plus because modern medicine filled with chemicals actually pollutes the body and the brain, and it creates a chemical cocktail. And I never ever, when I was thinking about how can I heal, it never occurred to me to put a medication into my body. That just did not seem to fit at all. That model did not resonate at all. And so I was so happy to learn that there are alternatives.
I love that. It's the same for me growing up that way. And so getting to this age and perimenopause, it was like, okay, you take HRT. And for me, I was like, no, no, I'm not adding hormones to my body. Like, I'm going to find a natural approach to it. So, yeah, I'm so with you.
Good.
I want to go back to that gut brain connection you mentioned. Can you explain that and kind of how that relates to our health, especially in perimenopause?
Sure. Well, it's at all times of life, from early childhood, which is probably why we're having so many health issues amongst young people nowadays. So they often refer to the gut as the second brain, and there is a direct connection from the brain to the gut, and goes bidirectionally. So everything that we consume sends a message through the vagus nerve up to the brain. Then the brain has to take that information that it's receiving from the gut and create neurochemicals, peptides or
Okay.
neurotransmitters. And those neurotransmitters dictate how we're going to feel. So we might get a boost in energy when we eat something sweet, and the serotonin is produced largely in the gut, about 95% in the gut. However, it's short lived, and when those happy hormone sensations, that initially they'll flood the body and then flood the brain, and then the brain makes us feel happy, and but it lasts so short term, and then we feel the crash, and then we feel a need to add more sugar or something to keep that cycle of happiness. It's similar with dopamine.
Mm.
It just floods the body so much, and it makes us feel as if we need to keep that going, otherwise
Mm.
we're going to crash, which we do. And there's another phenomenon that has to do with fat, like saturated fat, especially sweet fat, like ice cream. Ice cream will produce an opioid-like reaction in the body. So the brain is actually producing chemicals that mimic opioids, and that makes us feel kind of like, just chill, and then we want to sleep. So,
Yeah.
most people eat ice cream at night and then they go to sleep. I know that was already always my time to, flood my body with the thing that's gonna put me out fast, but
Mm-hmm.
also, thinking that I'm getting some kind of good thing out of it emotionally, but it creates so much havoc for the body. So in addition, we have about 50 hormones. So a
Didn't
lot
know.
of people think we have, testosterone, estrogen, progesterone, cortisol, thyroid, but we have 50 hormones. So all the hormones are being affected when we eat certain foods. And again, the brain is predominantly responsible. There's connection from the brain to the reproductive. There's connection from the brain to the thyroid, to the adrenals. So there's lots of feedback going on and feedback loops. And during menopause, the body actually doesn't produce as many of the hormones that we're used to, reproductive hormones.
Mm-hmm.
And it's less about the foods we're eating. However, that relationship between the gut and the brain and overall health, it's bottom line, it's the basics. So if during your lifetime you've been healthy and you've been having a very richly diverse culture in your microflora, your microbiota is diverse and balanced and healthy, chances are you're not going to feel the effects of the hormone decline as much. I'm not saying you won't, because it really depends on the levels and how the other factors balance in. But you will not feel as strong of a drop
Mm-hmm.
overall if your microbiome is balanced. And balancing the microbiome is an art. It's science, and it's not a quick fix.
Okay.
So that could be why a lot of women, though they think they're taking relatively good care of themselves, they start to feel that decline. And a lot of it is just basic hormonal.
Mm.
When we lose our fountain of youth, which is our hormones, we're going to feel not so good. When we stop making progesterone, we're not going to be able to sleep as well. When we're not making estrogen, we might have hot flashes or just feeling of lethargy or irritability or just not feeling like ourselves. So
Mm-hmm.
we have to take all aspects into consideration.
I've heard you say this on your Instagram about self-talk and how important that is to healing. Why do you think that that's so important and matters so much to our health?
Well, think about Think about how when we wake up in the morning, we go to the mirror. Now, clearly, I'm 65, so when I go to the mirror, I don't see the same version of myself that I saw. Well, at 25, I wasn't even looking because I had lacked self-esteem in total. But as you know, we get older. If we're paying attention to the details of our skin and our hair and our body, and making ourselves feel bad because
Mm-hmm.
we're not as pretty and we're not as supple and we're not as strong. And, when we give those messages to ourselves, that also creates energy in the body and creates more, like, would call it like dis-ease. We're not at ease with the change. Obviously we change. So
Yeah.
we have to embrace change, just like when we're pregnant. We have to embrace the
Mm.
pregnancy. We have to realize, okay, I'm growing a baby. I need to give myself more rest. Or when I'm having my period, I need to give myself more rest. I don't need to go out and run a marathon every day while I'm full on bleeding. And what happens with women is we're so hard pressed to be beautiful and look good and perform and do everything for everyone all the time
Mm-hmm.
that we don't allow these changes. And menopause is actually a beautiful thing. It's like when we stop producing estrogen, an extraordinary phenomenon happens. We no longer have that predominant nurturing brain. Like, I have to prepare meals for my kids. I have to pack their lunch. I have to take care of my husband. We suddenly, we don't feel like we want to do that anymore. That's not our main role anymore. And that is a perfect time. Those are the women that I'm seeing mostly now in my practice. The women who finally say, you know what? I'm done. Enough is enough. I've done everything for everyone and I've overlooked myself. I haven't
Mm-hmm.
taken care of myself. So when you get that mindset and you say, okay, I've let myself go. I see it. I get it. But I love you and I'm going to take care of you. That's a different message than, oh my God, I look so old. So when we say the I look so old message, which we very well may, but heck, we are. We're 10 years older, we're 20 years older, whatever it is. We have to just say, okay, wow, I've made it this
Yeah.
far. I'm still alive. I still have an opportunity. What can I do now to, I say to my women, I'm like, hey, you have another 50 years. What are we going to do? How are we going to get you to the end of your life without cancer, without cardiovascular event, maintaining your energy without gaining another 10 pounds? You've already gained 20. Let's not gain another 10. How can we slowly reverse this aging process? Not reverse it, but embrace it and make the most of it. So, yeah, self-talk is huge. It's foundational.
Mm. That was powerful. Thank you so much. I want to talk to you about joint health. That is something we haven't gotten to discuss very much on this podcast yet, but I know so many women are dealing with that. So, can you talk a little bit about why our joints are starting to hurt, the frozen shoulder, the feet that you can't walk barefoot across your house anymore? What's going on with all that?
Okay, great question. You said a word. You said we can't walk across the floor barefoot anymore. Okay, so can't simply means we don't.
Mm,
It means I don't do that anymore. So we use the word I can't. Why? It hurts. Why
yeah.
does it hurt? It hurts because we have inflammation. So over the course of our lifetime, we are accumulating so many biological toxins. We're inhaling them, we're drinking them, we're
Mm,
consuming them, we're reading about them, we're bombarding ourselves with things that create inflammation. A lot of times people will be puffy all over their body, and a
yeah.
puffiness creates pain and creates stiffness. So really
Mm,
what we're dealing with is inflammation.
okay.
Joints particularly need to be moved. So if you come to my workshops, you'll see we do a lot of things like this because we've either had injuries or we've been sitting at
Mhm.
our desk for 8 and 10 hours a day. So if we can't move, it's because we don't move.
Yeah.
It's not really that our body's limited. It's just that it doesn't know how. It's a new language. It's like learning to play the piano. You don't know how to move your body. You don't know how to play the piano because you don't do it. You haven't done it, and we need to move. So my first love is yoga. And yoga simply means uniting with self and with breath and movement. So we need to learn how to move our body. And if you get lucky and you get on one of my videos through Instagram or TikTok or wherever you watch, I do a lot of movement, especially the hands. We have 27 bones in each hand, and a lot of people are getting stiffness and
Hmm.
joint pain. So I recommend a lot of movements in our joints and our wrists and our fingers, and our bodies are filled with bones, and bones are connected with a joint. So we have to keep everything mobile and loose. And then we have to flush the toxins out of our body. So some of the protocols that we use here, far infrared sauna, we use lasers, we do massage and acupuncture and detox. Basically, we have to detoxify the body. And that's also not an easy task because we have 694 functions in the liver. 694 functions. That means detoxification pathways that the toxins need to go through to make sure even our hormones go through these detoxification pathways. So we could have hormonal challenges because the hormones uh, are not being processed properly, so they're not being able to be used in the body properly. So
Mm.
it's a bit of a jigsaw puzzle
Yeah.
to correct everything that needs to be corrected. But yeah, it's not a can't, and it's not just a joint thing. It's a systemic inflammation.
Okay.
And that's
Okay.
why a lot of people just gain weight because they have inflammation and then they get lazy and they don't move. And it's no judgment. It's painful. It's uncomfortable when you don't feel good. It's uncomfortable to move. And the more we succumb to, okay, I'm not comfortable, I'm going to sit today, or go back to bed or skip exercise, the more often that we do that, the more inflamed we become, the stiffer we get, and the
Okay.
less flexible we become.
So just so I understand, like when we're getting to like this phase of perimenopause and our joints are starting to ache, that's more just from like years of maybe being a little more sedentary than something more like hormonal.
Yeah,
Does that make sense?
okay, Chelsea, this is an important point.
Okay.
Anything can cause anything.
Okay.
Anything. So for some people, particularly people with type O blood, glutinous products can cause joint pain, especially in the spine. So that just tells me that anything can cause anything. So one person's inflammation can be caused by, changes in the hormones, another person's by changes in the gut biome, and another person's by a sedentary life. So really,
Okay.
it's very person to person specific.
It's just all hitting at this age because of
Everything hits
timing.
at this age.
Okay.
Everything we feel. Have you been pregnant?
Me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so do you remember when you're pregnant, you're more sensitive to everything?
Yes. It was just 8 weeks ago, so I can remember it.
Hey, yeah, congratulations. So things we smell, things bother us if we smell, we don't like the smell, we don't like the taste, we don't like the texture. There's like our bodies are so sharp when we're going through hormonal
Yeah.
change. Women are so lucky. We have all these different phases of change where we just get to fine tune
Hmm.
ourselves. Is it your first baby?
It is my sixth baby. but but my other ones are older. I have some in college, and my youngest was
Uh,
10. And then I started this perimenopause company, and 4 months in, I got pregnant.
oh my God, what a
So yeah, it's been wild, but really amazing.
blessing. Well, I'm here to help in any way I can.
Thank you. I want to talk about the weight loss. I'm sure you probably deal with a lot of that with your clients, and I'm sure you get asked about it a lot on social media. That's kind of everyone's number one concern when they reach this midlife point. So, what's actually happening hormonally, and how do we need to think about it differently, or what can we do differently?
Great question. So, our bodies are extremely miraculous in that they know how to keep us alive. And one of the ways that the body keeps us alive is that it stores toxins. It stores toxins in places where there's a capacity. So it in fat cells. So the toxins get stored in fat cells. The toxins also get stored in lymphatic vessels or lymph nodes. And
Mhm.
lymph parallels the blood vessels head to toe.
Okay.
If we put our vessels together end to end, all our vessels, do you have any idea how long they would be? Guess.
Okay, I'll guess 2,700 feet.
Okay, so 4 times around the equator.
Oh.
4 times around the equator, and that is I've read that in multiple books. We have so many vessels,
Oh my
so
gosh.
yeah, it's insane. It's
That's
insane.
crazy.
I know. So the first book I read, it was in a kid's book, and so I had to look it up and really make sure that this was not a joke. Anyway, so the lymph vessels, they filter the body. So if we have take in toxins, if the toxins are exposed to our cells or our blood, we could get sick. So
Hmm.
it stores it and encapsulates it in lymph nodes. That's why we might get some swelling of lymph nodes in here, swelling in here. When we get sinus congestion,
Yeah.
it's a swelling of lymph nodes. We get it in our groin, we get it in our abdomen. So our body is encapsulating the toxins, and those can be heavy. They're solid, liquid, whatever. They have a weight to them. The
Hmm.
other place that they're stored is in the fat. Now, if you take, do you cook? Are you a cook? Are you a
Yeah.
vegan?
No, we were for about 3 years.
Okay, so no judgment. I'm not a vegan anymore either. So if you take a piece of chicken that's uncooked and you look at that yellow fat
Hmm.
and you think to yourself, okay, if that fat was in my body, in my stomach, say, how am I going to lose that? Okay, it's almost impossible to take a chunk of solid and lose it. Where's it going to go? How's it going to go away? The only way that it can disintegrate is if it becomes liquid, so that then the toxins can move through the lymph and then out the body through the sweat or the urine or the feces. So we have to respect that our body is holding those toxins in the fat to protect us. Because if the toxins are exposed to our cells and our blood, we're going to get sick.
Okay.
So when it comes to weight loss, we must detoxify the body first. We need to detoxify the liver, and those liver detox pathways, 694 of them. We need to detoxify the lymph system. We need to detoxify the blood. We need to
Okay.
detoxify the colon. So weight loss is not going to happen in a toxic body without a fight. And
Yeah.
typically, if you start losing weight when you're not healthy, you're not going to feel good. So if you've
Mm.
ever lost weight, you know that sometimes if your legs will ache, or wherever you're losing the weight, your body's going to start to ache because the toxins are being exposed. So we have to just have a certain level of respect. Now, the other thing, cortisol is the big buzzword,
Yeah.
that when we have high cortisol, is our body able to heal? No. When our
Mm-hmm.
cortisol is amped up and high, our body is not going to heal. Our body is in fight or flight. Our body
Mm-hmm.
we can run, we can work, we can get shit done, so to speak, but we don't heal. So most women, and not all, but many that I see, the first thing we have to work on is the relaxation response.
Mm.
I need to assist women in understanding, if you don't relax, you're not going to heal. So we often will start a session. I say, I'm going to have you sit and meditate for 5 minutes. And when I come back, then we'll start your visit.
Yeah.
Because when patients come to me, I say, this is the space you come to heal. So
Mm.
you put the phone away, turn it off, you put your work, everything out of your mind, and we have to start the healing process. And I'll
Mm.
often have a patient here for 2-3 hours going through detoxification and natural healing modalities to keep their system in a state of relaxation. And then I encourage them, let's maintain that now. And then, of
Wow.
course, come back and have to start over, because no one can stay in that state unless
Yeah.
they're actively practicing meditation. And active meditation means once you're finished your 20 minutes or whatever, 5 minutes of meditating, somehow we need to stay in that state. And I've had
Mm.
to train myself because, if I have 10 people, that I have to see today, or 20, or however many, I need to keep myself in that state, because if I'm hyper, I'm not going to be of any use. So, that's, I think, a big deal why women are having trouble losing weight,
Yeah.
because their nervous systems are not balanced,
Yeah.
and they're storing a lot of toxins.
So have a question about those toxins. You mentioned a few systems that all need detoxing. Is the best practice for that like lymphatic drainage and sauna, or is there like a nutritional component or something else that we're doing to start detoxing?
There's so many possibilities. It's
Okay.
useful to know, for like me, I would want to get have enough information to know which system should we start with.
Okay.
And usually the body will give us signs. And so I always start with the gut.
Mm.
The gut, the liver, colon, and the blood are the 4 areas. But I
Okay.
often have to start with the gut. And of course, the lymph, we can mobilize our lymph system with exercise,
Mm-hmm.
massage, tapping. So I often teach these kind of things so that we can do. And this stimulates the lymph system. So we can do gentle maneuvers with ourselves to get things moving, and just again moving the body and going out. And going back to the weight loss thing, I just want to touch upon the fact
Yeah.
that the body needs to be in oxidative metabolism, a state of oxidative metabolism, for up to 60 minutes before
Okay.
fat will be burned. I remember I said that hard fat,
Mm-hmm.
in order for it to heat up, the body needs to be in oxidative metabolism. Now, when I was 24, I maybe could run 5 miles with a good strong cup of coffee first. But, at 65, you're not going to find me running,
Right.
no matter how much coffee I drink, because my joints will not. I don't have any joint pain, but I know I will if I go run. So, we have to honor our bodies and what we're going to be willing to do as we get older. And it's not going to be the same as when we were young. So it's
Yeah.
a lot harder. It's a lot harder to keep our body in oxidative metabolism for an hour. And that means our heart rate is pumping. And a lot
Okay.
of people don't want to have their heart rate pumping for 1 hour at 50 years old or
Right.
45 or whatever. So, those are all considerations.
I have a couple other things that I want to talk to you about. Just you talk a lot about food over restriction, I think. Yes?
What do you mean?
Like eating good foods, real foods over eliminating foods or going on maybe some type of restrictive diet. Is that a yes or no?
I don't call anything restrictive diet. I feel like if we
Okay.
eat from the earth,
Okay.
if we eat high quality protein and meat, I mean, that's not
Mm-hmm.
processed and commercialized, and
Okay.
food from the earth, that's what God provided, and that's what our bodies require to get the vitamins, minerals, water, antioxidants, phytonutrients. It's all there.
Okay. Simple enough, right?
It actually is simple. It's not as easy to implement.
I want to talk sugar because that's such a tricky one. You've mentioned how it can throw off your hormone balance. So, what's really happening in the body when we're consuming sugar, craving sugar, getting more sugar?
A lot of things are happening. So, number one, we're spiking our insulin and we're making our body less resistant, more resistant. So, and it's a matter of time. It's like a machine. Our body is like a machine, and our organs will get old too. The organs get old, and when we demand from our pancreas and our liver and our spleen, we're demanding so much, like
Mm-hmm.
having it continuously pump insulin, the body will get tired. The pancreas will get tired. The islets of Langerhorn, the pancreatic cells, will get tired. So we don't want to trip it up. When we
Mm-hmm.
eat sugar, the other thing that happens is that we're feeding microorganisms in our body called candida. And there's hundreds of species of candida, and it's a fungus that lives in the body. It's a particularly uh, symbiotic with estrogen. So beautiful women have more candida in their systems, so tend to crave more sugar. And when we eat sugar, we feed these microorganisms these yeast particles, and they multiply, and they have a party, and they leave their waste in the body in a gaseous form and a solid form. Half of the stool weight is the waste products of the bugs that live in our body. So when we have a good bowel movement in the day, we have to understand that half of that stool is the waste products of the bugs. And our bodies contain maybe twice as many microbes as we have cells. Like 100 trillion microbes are in our body. If you think about your house, you have termites, you have ants, you have flies, mosquitoes, cockroaches, all the different bugs that live in the home environment around the yard. We have the same thing going on in the ecosystem of the body. So when we eat sugar and food that's highly processed, we feed those bad bugs, and those bad bugs multiply, and they start depositing their waste in our body, and that makes us tired. It makes us crave more of this thing that we're eating, particularly the sugar, because the yeast demands sugar. The yeast will not be happy with a celery stick. So, no matter how much vegetable you give your body, when it wants sugar, it's because the yeast that live inside of you are craving and
Mm.
demanding. So it's tricky. It's
Yeah.
tricky. So, I always recommend weaning off the sugar by using maybe more sugar that's closer in line with nature, like dates, or
Mm-hmm.
maybe a dried apricot, or I used to do the dried papaya, but I think it's like so much sugar. You want to get the ones that don't have all the extra sugar. Of course, they don't taste good, but we want to start moving more toward the healthy, like, eating applesauce with cinnamon, or, I mean, eating an apple is ideal, or eating a piece of fruit is as ideal. But a lot of people, myself included at times, would rather have something that's more delicious and forbidden, if you will.
Yeah.
Right? It's
Yes,
a
for
little
sure.
cheat every day. But if we can minimize the cheat, if we can make it less, like
Yeah.
I go by the 2% rule. I talk about
Okay.
it all the time. I don't tell my patients stop eating. I say do 2% better. If you can do 2% better in a week, by the end of the year, you've done 2 times like 50 weeks. It's like you've done so much better. And your
Yeah.
habits will start to change over time, because we can't really go from here to here overnight. It's
Yeah.
impossible, it's insurmountable, and it will lead to discouragement.
Hmm. Yeah. I wanted to just talk right there on what you just said. So if there's someone, they're listening and they're like, okay, how could I do 2% better this week? What would be your first starting point?
I think the very first starting point is after you wake up, before you even get out of bed, unless you have to go pee quick. If you have to go pee quick, go pee. But go back to bed and lay there and get a firm sense of gratitude for
Hmm.
whatever amount of sleep you've had the night before. Dear God, or dear higher self, or, universe, thank you so much for the night of sleep. Thank you so much for my bed. Thank you so much. I got 4 hours of sleep, more than last night, whatever it is, however small. Thank you. Please help me be a little better today than I
Mm.
was yesterday.
Mm.
That's my morning prayer. That's it. That's in Judaism. That's what we say. Please help me be a little better today than I was yesterday. Because if we can be a little better, and that means everything. My attitude when I see my husband, the attitude when I see my son, my attitude when I look in the mirror, my attitude when I make a salad, my attitude when I clean the dishes, whatever it is, help me be a little better today than I was yesterday. If we all worked on that, if we
Hmm.
all just did that, just intentionally be a little better than we were the day before, we're going to start to make gains in our life. The second thing I would say is, when you wake up in the morning, go to the mirror and say something nice to yourself. Wow, you look pretty good, not bad, pretty good, and just give yourself a little praise. And
Mm.
if you're, struggling with weight and you don't like how your body looks, get a picture of how you used to look, put it up on the mirror with your face, and look at that, because that's also you. And
Mm.
if we look at what we want to see and strive toward that, then we're going to move toward that. But if we
Mm.
get on the scale and look down and start judging ourselves because we're fat, or because the scale didn't lose weight, or whatever it is, we're going to set ourselves up for a bad day.
Hmm.
So I recommend throwing the scale away.
I love it.
Never look down when you wake up in the morning. Never measure your worth by a number.
Yeah.
It's not worth it.
Joy, you were amazing. I thought it was so good, powerful. I learned a lot. So many facts in there I've never heard. So impressive. I think it
Thank
was
you.
really impactful. How can women find you, follow you, work with you, support you?
Okay. Well, I am all over the place. So I have Instagram, I have Facebook, and we have a newsletter that we put out. We have a YouTube channel, and we have a beautiful website. And what I recommend, if people are serious, I only take serious patients now, because
Hmm.
I, we're in demand, high demand, and I work with people who are seriously committed to their overall health. And
Mm-hmm.
I do remote work, and oftentimes I
Okay.
even say fly in. If you can fly in and stay for a week, it's amazing. It gives us that much more information because I have diagnostic tools from all over the world that can help me ascertain what needs to happen in what order. But we can do a lot over the phone as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I recommend go to the website, Natural Healing Hawaii, all spelled out, and look at our video testimonials and see what our patients have said. I help you to be an active participant in your care, in your recovery, in your life. And we make it happen together. And people actually need to learn how to be happy.
Yeah.
And being happy is as important as being healthy. And when we work on the health, the happiness happens. It's dramatic. It's
Wow.
beautiful. And the reason we love working here, we have a beautiful team of about 10 women. We all love to be here because every day people are coming and saying, "Oh, I feel so good. Oh, I feel so much
Mm.
better." And it's a beautiful thing. So if you're not getting better with your whatever you're doing now, you might want to find someone like me because it's the sky's the limit on how good you can feel. I assure you of that.
Incredible. Wow. You are amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Chelsea.